everyone. Welcome to chapter 10. This is Mrs. Hamilton's favorite chapter, so I'm super excited about this one. So today we are going to be looking at lesson 10.1, which is page 549 to 554. And on your calendar, it's for today, May 11th, and tomorrow, May 12th. And today we are going to be looking at lines, rays, and angles. The first thing I'm going to say to you is if you look at your packet, chapter 10.1, the first two pages, 549 and 550 are super duper important. So I would, after you listen to me for hopefully, which will be a shorter video than the last time, sorry about that guys, you can take some time and read over those two pages because these are vocabulary words and examples of what you are going to need to know that are super important for this chapter and some other chapters, some other lessons in this chapter in the near future. So the first part I'm going to do with you, I'm just going to kind of go over this a little bit and review and go over this vocabulary. Some of you might already know a lot of this, so we're going to take some time and just go over it a little bit. Okay, the first super important vocabulary word is point. And really it's an exact location, okay? So it's where something is specifically, okay? If I said to you the pencil is on the chair, that pencil's exact point is the chair. Okay, in this case, we are literally talking about a point, okay? And this is how it's labeled. It's labeled with a dot or something that looks like a period. And that right there, the example that I have right here would be point A, okay? I could do point Q if I wanted. I could do point S if I wanted, okay? So any letter can be a point. But the trick here is that a point only has a one-letter name, okay? And you say exactly what it's called. Point A. Point Q. Point S. That's how you say it. I apologize for my horrible handwriting, but I'm writing kind of lopsided today. So that's a point. It's an exact location. It kind of looks like exactly like a period, and it's labeled with one letter. Point A, point Q, point S. Okay? So then we have a line. Now, a line is a straight path of points that goes on in both directions forever. It never stops. It can keep going forever and ever 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 and ever. It never ever stops. You know that it is a line because you see these arrows right here, this arrow and this arrow. That is telling you that it is going in both directions and it's never going to stop. Okay? How you would label a line is this case, this line is called MH. Okay? And your symbol on top of it is a line with two arrows going this way and that way. So that is telling me that it's going in both directions and it never ever stops. I could also call this line HM. Okay? You can go backwards. You can go either way with it. So it can be line MH or it can be line HM. Okay? Maybe I wanted to do this line right here. And this line is called CD. This would be called line CD. Okay? A line is usually labeled with two letters. Okay? So, like in my two examples right here, I have an M and an H and a C and D, and they can be flipped around. It doesn't matter which way you do the letters. And your small little abbreviation is a little line with two arrows going one this way and one this way. So that way you know that line is going on and on and on and on and on and on forever. Now, the word straight right here, okay? It does have to be straight. A line cannot go like this, okay? This is not straight, that's curved. So this is not a line, okay? A line has to be straight. Now your line could go this way, curved like that, or it can go diagonal like that, but it cannot be a curved line. It has to be a straight line that goes on in both directions. And you know what goes on in both directions? By your arrows that keep going forever. Okay? So a point is a specific location, and it's a dot with a letter, and it's point A or point Q. A line is straight, and it has two arrows, on one arrow on one side and another arrow on the other side, and it goes on forever and ever and ever in both directions. And it has to be straight. It cannot be curved like this. This is not a line. Not a line. Okay? It has to be straight. Like this guy, and this guy. And when you're labeling a line, you can either say line CD or you can say line DC. It does not matter how you label that line. Normally, because we read from left to right, so we would say line CD. Okay? Normally. All right. Our next guy is a line segment. So this line segment is a piece of a line. This guy, this line up here goes on forever and ever 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 and ever. Well, this guy is a part of that line. Okay? So this guy right here, you know it's a part of a line because it has two endpoints. These are not arrows. These are points. Okay? And this is line segment CD. Again, it's a line, it's a straight line with two endpoints at the end, line CD. And I know that I have, or line segment CD, I'm sorry. I know that I have a line CD right here. They're different things. I was just showing you the different examples and the letters that you can have, okay? So this line segment CD is a small piece of a really big line that we don't see right now because it goes on and on and on forever. So a line segment is a piece of a line, and it has two endpoints, and these are your endpoints right here, those points, okay? So I could have this guy right here, and this could be AH. This would be line segment AH, okay? Now you always have to have that abbreviation over it. You can't just say AH. If you just write AH, we're not going to know what you're talking about. So that's why it's super important that you put the abbreviation over it no matter what it is. And all of these abbreviations are on your chart on page 549. So that's why it's super important that you go over this chart so you know how a line and a line segment are represented. All right, let me take a breath for a second. All right, so we have a point, a line segment, and now we're going to be talking about array. Array is very similar to a line, except a ray only goes on forever in one direction. This ray right here, GH, we have an endpoint right here, and then we have an arrow right here. So this ray, okay, goes on and on forever to the right because that's where my arrow's pointing. It's pointing this way to the right, okay? So in how I would label this, exactly like this, I would have an endpoint with a small line with an arrow going to the right. Okay? And this would be ray, GH. Okay? I can also have it go in the other direction too if I wanted to make a ray going to the left. And I can call this XY. This abbreviation would look like this. The arrow's pointing to the left because ray XY goes on and on forever this way to the left because of this arrow right here. Whichever way the arrow is facing on the ray is the way that it's going on forever. So this guy, it's facing to the right, it's going on forever this way. This guy, it's facing to the left, the arrow is right here. So it's going this way forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So a ray has one endpoint and it goes on and on forever in only one direction, to either the left or the right. Or it can go to the top or to the bottom, depending on how your line is drawn. Okay? So all of these right here, all of these have to be labeled by letters. It does not matter what letters you use. Okay? So if it tells you in one of your questions in your textbook to draw a line segment, okay, you would draw a line segment, okay, and I know that a line segment has two endpoints, so if I was drawing a line segment, I know it's two endpoints, and I'm going to call this CT, okay, so my line segment would be called line segment CT. It does not matter which letters you use, okay? Normally it helps if you go in order in the alphabet, like AB or DE, but you do not have to do that. It does not matter which letters you use, okay? And again, I'm going to say to you, it's super important. Make sure you look back at page 549 at that chart. That's a super important chart. And I was talking a little bit fast, so I really want you to look over this again and remember your symbols, your abbreviation, okay? So a point is this right here. A line goes on in both directions like that. Whoop, I'm sorry, my arrow's a little funny, like that. A line segment, which is a piece of a line, has this abbreviation. And a ray has one endpoint and goes on forever in only one direction. Okay? Those are super important concepts that you need to just memorize them and practice them. It's the best way to learn them. Okay. So now we're going to be talking about angles. All right. So an angle is formed by two line segments or rays that have the same end point. Okay, and I'm sure all of you, a lot of you have seen what an angle looks like. So I drew an example of an angle right here. And you know what, I'm kind of going to switch sides just so I'm not reaching over the board. Hold on one second. So what I drew right there is an example of an angle. And it is two line segments or rays that have the same endpoint. That's super important. So this guy right here would be your endpoint. This guy right here is actually called your vertex. Now that's a super important, like, 5th and 6th grade word that you should really remember, okay? The middle piece, the middle point of an angle, or where your two line segments or rays meet, is called your vertex. So this angle is made up, okay? It is made up by ray AB and by ray CB, because you have the arrows that are going like this, okay? So if you look at these separately, let's get rid of this guy. There's ray BC, And then if I get rid of this guy, there's ray AB or ray BA. Okay? But normally it would be AB because you would say, you know, this guy first because this is where the arrow is. Now, when we are measuring an angle, and we're not going to do that in this chapter 10, but when we measure an angle, there's 3 different kinds of angles. Really, there's 4, okay? But the one kind you will get no problem, super de-duper simple. When you measure an angle, okay, you're really measuring this piece right here. Some people always think when you measure an angle, you're measuring this opening right here. That's not true. You are measuring how big or small this piece is right here. This opening right here, okay? All right, so let's take a minute and talk about these 4 angles. The first angle we have is a right angle. Now again, I'm going to say that all of this information is on page 550 in your textbook. Please, please, please take some time after you're done listening to me to read it over. So a right angle measures exactly 90 degrees, okay? And a right angle looks like an L. And you know that it's a right angle because there's always usually a box right there, okay? So here is my right angle, and I'm going to call this CAT. You can make words like that. So this would be angle CAT. See my angle symbol? It looks like that. Oh, that was bad because now it looks like it's all stuck together. So there's your angle symbol, angle CAT. Okay? So always, always, always a right angle looks like an L. Looks like the letter L, the big L, okay? And it always looks like that, and it has that little box right there, okay? And it can go this way, okay? It can even go slanted like this. As long as it has that little box right there, that is how you know that that is a right angle. A right angle always, always, always measures 90 degrees, okay? And you can always think of it like this, too, when you put your fingers this way, okay, your thumb and your pointer finger right here, there's your right angle because these 2 fingers together look like an L. And here is your 90-degree measure right here, okay? So right angle looks like an L, always measures 90 degrees, and you can always tell because it has like a little box drawn there, a little rectangle or a little square drawn right here. All right, so an acute angle. Now, this angle measures 1 degree to 89 degrees, okay? So if a right angle is 90 and this acute angle is 1 degree to 89 degrees, okay, and I'm measuring this right here, this acute angle, these are very tiny. And the way that I think about this is it's acute. It's tiny. Babies, when they're tiny, are very cute. This acute angle is very tiny, okay? Remember, this is what you're measuring, and it's super tiny. It does not have a big space here at all, okay? So this guy would be angle BAD. This guy, what's another 3-letter word I could use? Oh, I got one. HAT. This is angle HAT. Now, acute. Remember that. Acute. It's smaller than a right angle. It's cute. It's tiny. Babies, when they're tiny, are very cute. So tiny little opening, or if you think of it like a mouth right here, little tiny mouth. It's cute. It's a cute little mouth. And acute angles measure 1 degree to 89 degrees. Obtuse angles. Ooh, obtuse. These guys measure 91 degrees to 179 degrees. These guys are big. They're large. They're obtuse. Obtuse sounds like a big word. These guys are very big, like this. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me redo this. Okay. Here's an obtuse angle. Very big. Okay. Here's another obtuse angle. Very big right there. Okay? So, right angles look like an L. They measure 90 degrees, and you know because they have this little box drawn right here. Acute angles measure 1 degree to 89 degrees. They're cute. They're tiny. Okay? They have very small openings. Obtuse angles sound big. They sound big and bad. And these obtuse angles measure 91 degrees to 179 degrees. They're big, big, wide openings. They're obtuse. Okay? And our last angle is a straight angle. This angle measures exactly 180 degrees. And ladies and gentlemen, this angle is a straight line. Okay? A straight line is another name for a straight angle. So this would be straight line or straight angle DOG, or straight line or straight angle dog. Okay? So a straight angle measures 180 degrees, and all it is a straight line. Now, I still have my vertex here. I still have my middle point because you have to. An angle always usually has 3 points, okay? So always remember that even on a straight angle, even a straight line, you have to have that middle point right there, that vertex. And this line, this straight angle, measures 180 degrees. It's a straight line. All right. Take a second. I know that's a lot. But again, all of this is on page 549 and 550. I just wanted to talk it out with you, okay? So please, please, please read it over and review it. All right, so now I'm going to do some of these questions with you on page 551, just to show you what they would look like, okay? So if you look at page 551, question number 2, it wants us to draw these things that it has labeled, okay? So it wants us to draw them. So in number 2, I have an X, a Y, and I have some little abbreviation or symbol over it that has 2 arrows going on and on and on and on and on forever in both ways. All right, so what is that? What is this abbreviation telling me what that is that goes on and on forever? All right, well, let me look back over here. Well, it's not a point. Oh, look, look, look. So it's a straight path of points. A line is a straight path of points that goes on in both directions forever. And I showed you that it is a little line with 2 arrows going in both directions, which this is exactly what it looks like. So all you would do here, okay, is you would draw your straight line, okay? It goes on in both directions, and label it X, Y, because it's telling you what to label it. We can't use any letters here. We have to use the letters that our book wants us to use, okay? So this would be line X, Y, because it's going on and on forever in both directions. Okay, number 3 wants an obtuse angle. Obtuse angle K. Okay, when it just gives you one letter like this, this is how you know what your vertex is. So your middle point has to be K because this is how it's labeled, okay? So obtuse, oh, that's a really, really big angle. It measures 91 degrees to 179. So I have to make the mouth of this angle really wide, Oh, there's a good obtuse angle, because here is what you measure, and that's super big. That's super wide. I know that this point right here has to be K, because that's what it's telling me. So when you see this is how you know what your vertex is. And this, so it would always be your middle point. And you can put any other letters that you want around here. So I have K, I could call this J, and I can call this L. Okay, you can use any other two letters that you would like, but this vertex, this middle point, has to be K, because this is the angle that you're measuring right here. Okay, and it's telling you it wants you to call it K. Okay, and that's a good obtuse angle. It's big. All right, number 4, right angle CDE. All right, right angle. What does a right angle look like? What's it look like, guys? The letter L? It does? Oh, yeah, it does. Look, it looks like the letter L, and it measures 90 degrees. So these angles are honestly the easiest to remember, because you know that they look like the letter L, okay? So all you do is draw a letter L. You put that box in there just because it shows me that it is a right angle. Now CDE. CDE. Okay? It has to, this center point right here, this D, has to be my vertex. It has to be in the middle, because that's what this angle is called. When you see this, you cannot move the vertex. You have to leave that center letter, that center point, where it is. Okay? So I could call this angle EDC, but my D is still in the middle. Okay? Your vertex letter always has to stay in the middle. It can't move like your other letters can. So right angle looks like an L, and I apologize that this is not that straight, so I'm going to fix it because I want it to look good for you guys. And it should look like an L, so it should be more upright like that. Okay? And that's a good right angle. It measures 90 degrees and it looks like an L. So those would be your 3 answers, or examples of your 3 answers for those 3 questions. Now, your obtuse angle might look a little different than mine, as long as this opening or this angle is very big. It's obtuse. It's okay. Don't make it tiny and cute. Make it big. Okay? All right, 5 and 6 I wanted to go over, because you're going to see a lot of figures like this in the upcoming pages, and sometimes these can be confusing for some. So what they did here is they put a lot of things together. They put a lot of line segments together. They have some angles in here, and they want you to be able to find them, okay? So this shape is, and it's labeled TUVW, or however you want to read it, okay? So it wants us to name a line segment. So we know a line segment, looking over here, has 2 points, and it's a piece of a line. So does anybody see anything on here that has 2 points or 2 end points that could be a line segment? Shout them out at me. I'll hear you. Oh, I think I heard somebody say TV. Look at this guy right here. And I'm going to kind of outline it in purple so you see it. TV. There's an endpoint here and an endpoint here. So that absolutely can be one of those. Any more line segments that we see? Oh, I heard somebody say TU, which is right here. And that is also an example of a line segment, TU. What else do we have? Up. I heard somebody say VW, which is going from this point all the way down to this point. That is also a good line segment, VW. And I'm going to erase that because that looks horrible. And I'm going to redo that for a second so you guys can see it more clearly. VW. Now, when I'm writing them, make sure you're making your abbreviations right so it has 2 endpoints. All right, and I think there's another one in there, another line segment. Oh, I heard it. U, here's an endpoint, and it goes down here to this endpoint, and this guy can be called line segment UW or WU. Doesn't matter which way you write that. So there can be 4 different answers there. It only asks for 1, okay? But you can have any of these 4. So any of these 4, as long as there's 2 endpoints, okay, you can use any of these 4. So this shape is actually made up of 4 line segments. All right, and number 6 says it wants us to name a right angle. All right, what do I know about a right angle? All right, it looks like an L, okay. And normally it has a little box drawn in the corner in the angle, so that way I know it's a right angle. Does anybody see something that looks like a box drawn somewhere in this shape? Where? Uh-oh, right here, right here. This box right here. Does everybody see this box? Okay, we know if this box is here, what letter has to be our vertex or our center letter? If this box is right here, what letter do we have to use? You're right, it is the U. We have to use the U. So I'm going to write that guy right there, and I wrote my angle sign so that way it knows. So what 2 letters are around my U that help make up this angle? Does the V have anything to do with this angle right over here? Does it do anything with this angle? No, it's too far away. Okay, but look at the T. See how the T is used for this line segment right here? So it's TU, so that is part of our angle name. And what other letter? You're right, the W. Okay? So our right angle would be angle TUW. Or it can be angle WUT. But all you have to make sure that your vertex or that your center point stays where it is, because it's where the angle is right here. So that has to be your center point, okay? So that's why I put it in the middle right here automatically, because that is my center. It's my vertex. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a whole lot. And I know sometimes it feels like a whole bunch of stuff, but all of this is in your textbook on page 549, 550. Okay, really, it's about making sure that you memorize what a point looks like, what a line looks like, what a line segment and array look like, and the differences between them. And also your angles. Okay, your right angle measures 90. Your cute tiny angle is smaller than a right angle, and it measures 1 degree to 89 degrees. Your obtuse angle, your fat obtuse angle, is super fat. It's bigger than a right angle. It measures 91 degrees to 179 degrees. And your straight angle, or your straight line, measures 180 degrees. Remember that your straight angle is another name for a straight line. And when you are doing these kinds of questions, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it helps to use different colors. Mrs. Hamilton likes to look for the line segments or whatever it's asking me to find, and I like to outline them in different colors because it helps me kind of see it a little bit better. It kind of helps me pull this shape apart a little bit, so I'm not looking at all of it at one time. I'm kind of doing it in pieces. All right, so your job today is to finish the bottom of 551 and to look at 552. 552 is super cool. There's a little picture of water and like a bridge or power lines there that you have to use. It's super cool. And then tomorrow, your job is to finish 553, 554. And it's pretty much the same thing that you have been doing in this chapter, that you're drawing the angles and the lines. Remember that if you have any questions, please, please, please get a hold of your specific teacher, and they would be happy to help you. And our next lesson on Wednesday and Thursday is going to be about triangles. So please, 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 let's make sure we have our angles memorized by then and we have an idea of what our angles are. I will review that very quickly before we start our triangle lesson. But again, remember to always, always, always contact your teacher with any questions and go over these math terms. These are all in the front of your chapter. So please look them over again. This page 549, 550, super important. Okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful next 2 days. And Mrs. Hamilton will be back on Wednesday with all new things about triangles. Thanks for watching.